Hey you guys, and welcome to my September wrap up. My voice may be a little up because I've already recorded this like a million and freaking gazillion times, but it was always too long, so I'm gonna try not to babble. I'm really trying not to babble, even though I'm doing it right at this minute. So the first book that I read was Eve and Adam by Catherine Applegate and Michael Grant, and it follows this girl Eve who, after getting into a car crash, stays at her mother's work because her mother like works at this big company and people actually like live there and stuff like that, and like she's really cutting edge and stuff. And during her recovery there, her mother asked her to work on this special project where she wants her to create this perfect boy, the simulation of a boy. So that's kind of interesting. Doesn't really go where I thought it was gonna go. But then we have this other guy's point of view, Solo, who lives there, and he is mostly surrounded by adults all the time. So he kind of sees Eve for like Eve is a really first teenager his own age that he interacts with a lot. So, and he has like his own agenda, which he's starting to forget with Eve around. So that's kind of interesting. And yeah, so this book was really kind of a setup book in a lot of ways. We got to know and love the characters, and yeah, some stuff happened, but not a whole lot. But I really did enjoy it, getting to know people, hating people, of course. And this book is really short, and it wasn't that hard to read either. It was like 291 pages. It really flowed really easily, and I am excited for the next book because there is going to be a next book, which I was wondering when I was like halfway through, and I was just like, they're not going to wrap everything up. And the next book is going to be Adam and Eve, and I really don't know when it's coming out, but I'm excited for it. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 and a 7 out of 10. So there we are. Moving on was The Sun and Neptune by Rick Rider. And do I really need to say anything to my precious? Yes. Oh my God, I love you. Probably shouldn't do this when there's a camera, but I really love Rick Riordan, and I cannot wait for The Mark of Athena, which came out yesterday, and I was just like, oh, why did I pre-order this? Why did I order this online at all? Okay, why didn't I just go to Walmart and buy it? Because when I was pre-ordering, I was like, I have patience, but apparently not. I do not have patience, and I need to get control of myself. Moving on. I read How to Uncage a Girl by Frances Leah Block, which I gave a 4 out of 5 and a 7 out of 10. And it's like a poetry kind of thing going on. And I don't know, I'll try to do a more in-depth review on it later. I liked it, and I think if you are kind of interested in this kind of poetry book, then you should, I don't know, borrow it from somebody, get it out the library, because I think, like with most, because I liked some of the poetry, and then I loved some of it, and then I didn't understand some of it, and then I didn't like some of it. So yeah, that's a whole mess of feelings to have, which poetry kind of does to you, because as much as she tries to have like a kind of little storyline going on, poetry is just, you either love them or you hate them. But I'm moving on now, and I have read Immortal City by Scott Spear, and I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars and an 8 out of 10. And it follows this angel, Jackson Godspeed, because angels are real here in this modern day Los Angeles, and he's going to be the youngest person to ever become a guardian angel. And angels are like, they're celebrities, and then there are angels, like, ever since people discovered they were real, they just interested in every part of their life, and he's always grown up in the limelight, and that's kind of all he knows, really. And then we have Maddie, who's, like, kind of the regular down-to-earth girl, I guess, but even more so. Everybody's, like, around her obsessed with angels, but not her. She's mostly just like, I have to, try to get into a good college, try to get money for that good college, and try to keep the diner that she works with at her uncle, like, she actually goes there before and after school afloat and stuff like that. And they kind of cross paths, and then people start killing angels who are supposed to be immortal. And yeah, so those are things that happen. Yes, interesting. And it takes place from Jackson's point of view and then Maddie's point of view, and then once in a while we get the detective's point of view who is investigating these murders, and he is interesting as well. I actually kind of wanted to see more of his story. Like, I was like, spin off with him. Don't judge me. Next book that I read was In the Forest of the Night by Amelia Atwater Ward. And it was the first book in this quartet thingy. I don't know, I'm just used to having them individually, so that's why I say. But anyway, I gave In the Forest of the Night a 1 out of 5 star and a 3 out of 10. I didn't like the book. I knew when I was rereading it that I was just like, oh god, this is torture. Why am I doing this to myself? But it takes place in 1508 a little bit. I believe that's the night when she was a human. And then we kind of see how she was transferred into a vampire, because that's what this is about, for ke-sha, whose name I cannot pronounce. And we kind of see her transform into a vampire, and it was really kind of boring to me anyway. But anyway, then there's like her perceived adversary, who I liked way better than her, which is why I gave it a 1 out of 5 stars. That 1 star was for him. Like, I liked him, but I couldn't give it more than that. But I'm just gonna leave it alone. But yeah, I kind of found her boring and interesting. I just didn't care. So then I moved on and I read Demon in My View, which is the second book in the bind up, and it follows this girl Jessica, who is a writer. She writes under pseudonym about vampires and stories and stuff. But what she kind of doesn't know is that it's actually all kind of real. And so this guy comes to her school, and she's just like, he must really be a fan of my books, even though he can't know who she is since she writes under pseudonym. So yeah, so that kind of goes on. It's interesting to see how that story kind of progresses, and it wasn't really a spoiler what I just said, because they kind of tell you, like, in the first, I don't even know how many pages that you find out. But then again, it's a really short book, and I gave it a 5 out of 5, and actually I'm an 8 out of 10 stars. It was really kind of short, and there are a lot of more things that could have been done. So, but I really did love it and enjoy it, and I always wonder about those 2 characters and how we could have had more of them. Moving on from my obsession, apparently, I read The History Boys by Alan Bennett, and it is a play. And if you can see this cover, these guys are the original people who portrayed the people in the play, and sadly I came a year too late discovering this play, and I was just like, man, I could have went to New York and watched that play if I had saved up enough money and stuff. I probably would have did it too, because I really loved this play, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars and a 9 out of 10. And it follows, I'm gonna just read the back real quick for you guys. An unruly bunch of bright, funny sixth form, which is senior boys for us, in a British boarding school are, as such boys will be, in pursuit of sex, sport, and a place at a good university, generally in that order. In all their efforts, they are helped and hindered, enlightened and bemused by a maverick English teacher who seeks to broaden their horizons in sometimes undefined ways, and by a young history teacher who questions the methods as well as the aim of their schooling. And I thought it was really kind of interesting. These boys are, I guess, they're able for this test that they can get so that they can have interviews with Cambridge and Oxford that they want to get into. And I should also mention that this book takes place in like 1948, so I guess that was a thing back then. And so their principal had called in this young English teacher to kind of help mold them, because he had went to Cambridge, had went to one of the schools that they're competing to get into, and he wants them to help them kind of get past their interviews and look better. And so he kind of, like, he's there to kind of freshen them up. And then they have the other teacher, who's the maverick, who like kind of teaches them everything and anything, and it's really all kind of wishy-washy a little bit sometimes, and a little bit suspect for some things. This has a really, like, you really have to be older, because they deal with kind of adult things that go on in this book, and there's like the language is like, yeah. So yeah, I don't think that really, but I like the intellectual verbal sparring and everything that went on, and it was really kind of witty, and I guess, and stuff. And yeah, I highly recommend it. I also have the movie, which I finally found because I thought somebody stole it or lost it, or whatever. And I'm probably gonna watch it and do a review on it on my other channel. And then maybe I'll probably do like movie book comparison. I can't really compare the play since I haven't really seen the play, because there are some things in this book that are, because it basically is the play, that they didn't really put in the movie, but I kind of understood why. But yeah, awesome book. I liked it. It's kind of slow moving, I think. So if it's your kind of thing, I don't know, I'm gonna move on from that and stop babbling. But the next book I read was Dark Eating by Patrick Carman, and this takes place from the character Will Besting's point of view, and he's a very untrusting person. So he and this group of 6 other kids are taken to this place where they're to be cured of their darkest fears. And I really liked Will. He was awesome. We don't really get to know a lot of the other characters except for like one of them who he kind of likes, and then we get to know more of them as we know about as we discover what their darkest fear is. But really, this is kind of like a mystery book. Like, how are these cures happening? Like, how do you cure somebody's deepest fear when because all of them have been in a therapist's office, been to see therapists for years, and this guy's just curing him. It's kind of but I just have to say, by the time I got to the end of this book, because I was just really like, oh my god, did that actually just happen? Really? Is this really? Seriously? Oh my god. Just went to mystery to I don't even know what. Just seriously. Yeah. I really thoroughly enjoyed this. And it's kind of a slow, kind of moving, pacing book, but I really like that, and I found it interesting all the time, and I read it really quickly, so I gave it a 5 out of 5 and 8 out of 10, and I'll probably be doing a bigger review later on, as well as for some of these other books. But let's get to the last book that I read, and I literally read this on like the last day of October. I finished reading it, and it was Nevermore by Kelly Craig, and let me just say, this book was absolutely positively amazing. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars and a 9 out of 10. I really, 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 really enjoyed this book. So, to the person who asked me if they really needed to read Edgar Allan Poe before reading this, no, because I think they do a good enough job to explain a lot of things about his stories that the themes are kind of taken off of. And I know that the author, she's actually making a book, or she made a book where she wrote down all the Edgar Allan Poe stuff that she used for the story and the ones that influenced her. I don't really need that because I have this. What? Yes, I'm definitely going to be I'm going to try to read this next month, because I plan on rereading this book so I can know more about the certain nuances that was going around. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This book follows Isabel, who is paired with Varen for an English project. And she kind of starts noticing more about Varen than she ever has before, and he seems to be really strange, and she's kind of interested in that, and she kind of has to save him from this realm of where Edgar Allan Poe stories were really real. And if you ever read anything about Edgar Allan Poe, Stupid Train, then his things are kind of creepy and all about death and things. So yeah, so she's kind of stopping him from trying to stop him from descending into the same madness that Poe kind of went into, and it's really interesting. I don't really want to say a lot because I really don't want to give spoilers, and I'm at this point where I just want to blurt out every single thing that happened in this book. Like, I need to calm down first. Like, I haven't calmed down enough for me to be able to give you so I hope that was enough, and no spoilers or anything. So yeah, because basically everything I said was kind of in the inside flap anyway. But yeah, I gave that book a 5 out of 5 and a 9 out of 10, and it was just amazing, and I loved it. And Edgar Allan Poe is awesome, and Kelly Craig is awesome, and just things like that. So those are the books that I read for the month of September. Hey, that is 9 books. I did really kind of good this month. Didn't read as much as I was supposed to, or anything really that was in my TBR. But like always, I say take my TBR with a grain of salt, because really, yeah. So I'm going to be back with said TBR, and hopefully I will try to follow it more this month, because I did kind of follow it a lot, I believe. But yeah, so I will see you guys later, and I will stop rambling, and just tell me if you guys have read any of these books, and how did you enjoy them? Did you like them? Did you hate them or not? Do you agree or you disagree? Just let me know. Or now you more excited for some of these books, if you kind of got what I was saying over my crazy babbling. Okay, I will see you guys later. Bye.